deckings are being used predominantly all across the world. In India, it's a comparatively new subject, but in all developed countries, for example, Europe, in US, Australia, New Zealand, people have been using decking, for many years now. And the extreme weather conditions within the countries that I shared with you, for example, if you talk about US, so in the mid or Midwest, you find temperatures which are very hot. Temperatures can go up to 45 degrees, and surface temperatures can go up to plus 50 degrees. And during winters, you have temperature time, spaces where this area is covered under snow, feet of snow, particularly the eastern part of the US, the upper eastern part, northeast part. So these products, any good decking product, if it is installed properly, should be able to withstand extreme variation on either side. So I say this with a disclaimer, which means that I'm telling you that installation is extremely crucial. It's like, where you take a great cloth and give it to the wrong tailor. I mean, it's not the cloth's fault. So it is basically a systems approach that is needed. It is not only material किसी ने लिया, manufacturer ने material बनाया, vendor ने material import किया, या उसको retail किया और installer उसको लगा के आ गया. But there is no ecosystem which is kind of sharing the entire knowledge, so the end user has a complete solution in the end. We were kind of different. We just decided that I would love कि जब मैं उन लोगों के साथ काम करना चाहूँगा जो मेरे को पूरी approach देंगे. I don't want my clients to do PhD. I don't want architects working with us to do PhD. That's our job. Of course, your job is to ask us questions or give us design problems. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to achieve. So, आपका जो demand है, we can tell you based on the state of the art or the technology that we have available, whether that would be feasible at our end or not. So we've done our homework towards that end, and pretty confident that the right product with right installation, right advice can handle any condition. Now coming to your question, कि successful installation के लिए क्या-क्या चीजें ज़रूरी हैं? Let's have a look at these points. So first and foremost, we require a very stable wood for decking. So as compared to decking, a vertical wall, gets comparatively much less sun. So a wood which is not as stable can still handle a wall, and you will see that the same wood, if you put on the floor, on the deck, outside, exposed, will behave differently. That's because the incidence of sun on a horizontal surface is much, sharper from that viewpoint. So wood expands and contracts with, heat and with humidity. तो अगर सीधी धूप उसके ऊपर पड़ रही है summers के अंदर, you can imagine temperatures going 50 degrees plus on the surface. So the wood cell is wanting to contract tremendously. This exerts a lot of pressure. If the wood is stable itself, for example, a modified wood such as Vulcan that we do, the movement of the wood is gone by more than 50%. As again, I'm telling you a very conservative estimate, but now we have on the ground projects performing in India, all across India actually, more than 5 years old. So they're performing beautifully. So what I'm saying is not from an expectation or an assumption. It is actually panned out. There is validation right on the ground. So once you take a stable wood, that's the first thing. Second, you also want, depending on the location, your wood to have warranty against termite or fungal decay. There are some natural woods, for example, ipe. This wood is pretty strong, pretty hard. Normally, it performs quite well against termite and fungus both. And however, it is not very stable. So in a natural product, you would not get a warranty. It's a natural product. But in a modified wood product, manufacturers, since they have designed the product, they can give you a warranty. There's another material that is getting quite popular these days called thermally modified wood. You find in the market thermally modified ash, thermally modified pine. That product has good resistance against fungus, but not against termite. So I advise you that whatever claims that you get from your vendor, you can independently verify from the internet or whatever brands they are sharing with you. You could write to those brands directly. It could happen that sometimes, I'm not saying that it is going to be intentional, but I can say that sometimes it could be a misunderstood on the technical competence of the material itself from the vendor also. It requires a very detailed study, going deep into technical data sheets, clearing your words in dictionary, हर चीज को पूछना ऐसा क्यों है, why are you telling us to install this way, why can't we install that way? So when you go that deep and you get answers, अच्छा ठीक है हम आपको इसलिए बोल रहे हैं ऐसा करने के लिए, because that problem occurred and we solved that problem with this way. So in India, decking is a new subject. We are not trained masters in this subject. We are learning on this stage right now. I've also learned the hard way, but we've done our homework now. We have our checklist ready in terms of site inspection, in terms of site execution के time पे क्या ध्यान रखना है, and then site preparation में क्या ध्यान रखना है, and what are the QC points, the quality check points. And this has been done with a lot of interaction with manufacturers abroad, asking them questions about why did they do, or why do they suggest what they suggest. So these two important factors are there. Termite and fungus, you have to evaluate कि जहाँ आप लगा रहे हैं वहाँ कितना chance है. Fungus and termite both love moisture. Your construction detail has to be fantastic to avoid standing water. Then the next point is that you ideally should look at long planks. Long planks reduce the fixing. If you decide to face fix the planks on decking, in natural wood, I always recommend doing a face fix. When I say face fix, आपने ऊपर से screw लगाया हुआ है और screw को ऊपर से भरा नहीं है. A lot of time people, in wanting to hide the screw, they countersink the screw. वो surface से थोड़ा सा नीचे ले जाते हैं, and top of that they put some putty and all. But putty, it's not a very good idea, because after a short while, wood plank will start to expand and contract with the heat and moisture, and this putty will become it is rigid. तो कुछ देर में वो पट्टी आपकी बाहर निकलनी शुरू हो जाएगी, and you will have a situation where some putty is out, some putty is in. It's not a great result. So ideal is to use very good quality stainless steel screw and install it flush with the top. So अगर उस केस में if you're using long planks, it'll help you reduce the number of screws on the joints particularly. Also in hidden fixing system, long planks, they just look more calmer, they look neater. Then fixing detail and hardware. It's extremely important how you fix. This is extremely crucial. कि कौन सा हार्डवेयर यूज करना है, कौन से स्क्रूज यूज होने चाहिए, नीचे जो आपका फ्रेमवर्क है उसके डिस्टेंसेस क्या होने चाहिए, and all that. Then appropriate subflow. As I said, moisture is an enemy. You don't want your water to stand. So the subfloor has to be such in this manner कि जो drainage है moisture की, that should be quick and fast. So you have rain coming in, easily आपका पानी आराम से निकल जाए. If you are able to handle this, you will have a very successful decking installation. Then air circulation. You can imagine if the water is not going away, you could have a situation जब बारिश हुई आपकी immediately और नीचे पानी इकट्ठा हो गया decking के नीचे. Not only is not hygienic, what will happen is कि जब when the sun comes out, you have a situation where the sun is baking the wood from the top. The wood is thick. Generally, the decking wood will be 20 millimeters plus. So top layer of the wood is getting baked. It wants to shrink. It is losing moisture. While the bottom part, because it is hot और नीचे पानी रुका हुआ है, it is now turning into steam, and the bottom part of the wood decking आपका वो गीला हो रहा है. So the bottom part of the wood wants to expand, the top part wants to shrink. This creates another stress on the wood, which will result in cracks and all that stuff. Ideally, नीचे जब आप decking plan कर रहे हैं, आप while designing the building, wherever you plan to have your decking, if you can leave a gap of 12 inches, if not 12 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches, 8 inches, if you figure that out during your design detail only, and you'll make sure that the slope is such that the water drains away easily. So then with this 6 inch or 12 inch gap, you will have a situation where there's enough air circulation. Decking is always put when there is gap between two planks. Generally the gap is about 5 to 6 mm or 7 mm depending on what kind of wood you're using. So this allows, नीचे का जो gap है, it allows a good circulation, and the plank is now getting dried from the bottom and also from the top. No water standing below means not a conducive environment for termites and fungus both. So it's, as I said, it's a systems approach. We have to look at how these organisms flourish. Wood is, खाना है उनके लिए, वो तो आएंगे ढूंढते हुए. But we can make an environment hostile for them without using toxic chemicals, but by just simply by understanding their behavior and tweaking our designs accordingly. Then drainage access is an important point. So आपने decking लगाई, you want to make sure that you have a sort of a trapdoor kind of thing over there. आपके leaves and all and debris can get stuck over the years, and it's a good idea to check this, open up this trapdoor and check your drainage periodically, particularly before monsoons. You should check that. So अगर वो साफ रहेगा, आपका पानी drain होता रह रहा है, तो then this you're ensuring a pretty long life for your decking product. Now we come to coating. Now coating again has to be compatible with the kind of wood that you use. What I've seen in India, predominantly what's happening is लकड़ी कहीं और से आ रही है, coating कहीं और से आ रही है. It's not a systems approach. While in Vulcan decking, the reason I love this product and love this manufacturer was because it's a systems approach. Everything has been engineered, looking at the end use, what the client wants, and then reverse engineering the whole product to give that result. So coating plays an extremely important part. On a decking surface, we strongly recommend that the client coats the surface once a year. If you remember, I showed you that silicon coating initially. If the client doesn't want frequent maintenance or like once a year, वो आप इसको नहीं करना चाहते हैं, so then they could go for the silicon technology. As I said, it's like pretty long lasting. The aesthetic is going to be a worn grey look. As it is, pastels in terms of wood flows, they are like big time in now. Our sales for pastel colors have gone up, and a pastel decking compatible, which is to inside, light pastel engineered wood floor looks pretty nice that way. Just a point here: the coating life will, tremendously be different on a vertical surface. अगर आपने cladding पे same हमारी जो coating है, the coating we do is called protector oil. We get it from the same manufacturer. So this coating when we do on the wall, depending on the orientation of the building, like if it's a southwest, then we recommend the client to do a first coat between 2 and 3 years, and if it is like north or east, then the coating could be between 3 and 4 years once. So वहीं पे उसी घर के अंदर अगर decking लगी हुई है, we again recommend if you're using a protector oil, you recoat it once a year. So it's a big difference from basically 2 to 3, 4 times difference जो आपका cladding पे जो life है coating की और decking पे जो life है. Below the ceiling, the life is like kind of endless. Below the ceiling, there is no direct contact with sun, so nothing happens. The coating is like pretty long. Then an extremely important point is to seal the end grain. By end grain हम बोलते हैं कि जो joint आपका plank का कटा हुआ piece है आपका. Suppose you're using a 8 feet long plank. Now you have the cut side. The cut side is basically called the end grain. This can take in moisture 100 times more than the surface or the bottom of the side. So if you don't seal this area, then cracks can develop from the edges, particularly near the fixings. So it's important to handle end grains. We have specific end grain sealers with us that not only protect the wood from termites, they also stop moisture ingress. These are like specialty end grain sealers. And last but not the least, I would strongly recommend always to go in for a sustainable timber. When I talk about sustainable timber, I mean lakdi. You're getting your wood from the forest, which are certified, which have been logged properly. It's now very easy to get this timber. It's not very expensive also. Certifications like FSC, PEFC. I mean, when you work with your vendors, you can always ask them to give you an idea about if the wood is sustainable or not. Just to give you an idea, Ipe is a very popular wood species in a natural timber. However, every 1 minute, 4 football field worth of jungles or your forest is being cut every 1 second in the Amazon and rainforest, South America, where the wood comes from, Brazil and nearby areas. So one has to be kind of a little bit more vigilant. I think right now we are already seeing the impact of climate change, so much pollution there. We do not want to deplete our forest cover, so a sustainable timber is recommended.